It's been 6 years since I first fell into the VTuber rabbit hole, and 5 since I began my inexorable approach toward rabbit hole crush depth, which is seemingly the point at which you turn into one of these things. Careful, lads. Many such cases. And boy, being a small indie VTuber channel has been a singularly unique perspective from which to witness the unspooling of events in this, industry. The ups, the downs, the sham scams, and oh dams. It's hard to believe how an idea so fun could be so very conflict prone. But really, that just means that compared to any other artistic industry, the VTubing community is hardly unique in terms of the level of dysfunction it sometimes exhibits. Remember any of these? It's okay if you don't. That just means you haven't misspent your one life on this earth as I have. Yet there have been a lot of freaking red letter days on account of anime girls playing video games on the internet. Neil Stevenson didn't see that one coming, huh? Now that's my kind of snow crash. I kinda called it way back when. Once this niche broke containment, our little Eden was gonna start filling up with snakes. And I don't mean the good sexy kind. It's hard to believe that there was a time when the general vibe around VTubers on social media was broadly optimistic, eager, and positive. But it's not like you can't ignore the social media entirely, enjoy the medium on its own merits. I mean, no one says you have to give your attention to the various Vantablack orbs from which endless cascading banshee shrieks emanate. Some big indies have even struck upon success while keeping social media at arm's length. We call such individuals smart. Nowadays, though, it seems like we never go too long between ominous tidings reaching us from even the hallowed halls of professional elites and others. I don't want to make it sound like it's all bad. VTubing, for all its faults, is one of the few bright points in a benighted media landscape. It spurs creativity and curiosity. I'm glad I grew up at a time when I didn't have to fend for myself with daytime television. At the end of the day, the appeal of this stuff is that it's fun. And as a wise man once said,
if it's not fun, why bother?
I should say watching VTubers is fun. Being a VTuber can also be fun, but it's also a lot of work. It provides a great creative focus and facilitates purposeful autodidacticism. It also exposes you to immense competition and ample opportunities to second-guess your self-worth. And since I just passed the 5-year mark doing VTubing, and especially with recent developments about the Hollow Stars, I suppose now is an ideal time to reflect on my goals here, to ruminate on the state of VTubing in general, and male VTubers in particular.
Thinking about going out on my own terms, brother.
Basically, this is a belated anniversary video and a therapy session all in one. You're invited! But you know what's really special about this year is I'm finally making steady, decent income, and I'm not making it via content. At one time, that would have seemed like a steep compromise, but now it kind of seems like the luckiest break I could have hoped for. Allow me to elucidate on that, Cope. VTubers are not popular. They are, in Yam Albat's perspicacious words, a laughingstock. Twitch hates us because we fucked up their whole Gen X youth rebel branding with pink-haired ingenues and nerd crap. They wanted a Mount Rushmore of amoral psychopaths, and they almost have it, but this good-natured charity stream stuff keeps cramping their style, and they'll never ever forgive us. Giving something your endorsement is always a position of vulnerability. After all, it can be said that the thing you endorse sucks, and so by extension, do you. A being much wiser than me once said, it's always easier to self-identify in opposition to something you hate. But with VTubing, man, call me melodramatic, but it really is one of the only mediums out here that seems to prioritize putting beauty and proficiency out into the world. Where the key skill to a lot of online content creation seems to be capacity for being a remorseless fucker, I'm routinely gobsmacked by the kinds of laudable skills that manifest in the world of sexy cartoon people. Opera singers, animators, orators, and the Dwemer crafty. A few of these people even understand mahjong. Fucking superhumans, man. The expression, I am cringe, but I am free, as it turns out, isn't just postmodern glad-handing. It's real. It's real. But whatever else it is, it sure ain't profitable. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to grow and expand my sovereignty over my tiny world. It looks fun to arrange big events, rope other creatives into strange endeavors, and to be able to bankroll snazzy animation projects. But at the same time, juggling a tolerable day job with content might not only offer more freedom, it might not even be that different. I mean, doing content full-time is really just doing content part-time. The rest of your day is dedicated to running a whole-ass business empire and getting canceled. And I've done neither of those things, at least until someone Google Docies me for exposing them to Echo the Dolphin. I ought to be in jail. Point is, it's become clear that even growth seems less and less like a path to medium-term stability. It just really seems like VTuber agency is just a fundamentally non-viable commercial concept. We've all seen our share of Oshis come and go at this point. We've seen corporate implosions, scandals, and even looked on in shock as some of the biggest names in the industry turned out to be bereft of any viable business model to speak of, to the point of verging on outright scammery. The idea of getting a coveted agency position was always kind of the golden standard, you know? Even if you yourself were not aiming for that, it was the baseline against which all successful endeavors were to be measured. The idea of getting to do this, but with steady income, a support network, time and availability for regular collabs, and a strong brand identity backing you, that was the ideal. But slowly, then suddenly, that whole aspirational image began to collapse. After a while, we had agency hires fleeing for the door, enterprises collapsing overnight, and not just the odd fly-by-night rich kid project. V Shoujo's corporate side was embezzling charity money, for Christ's sake. Eventually, it seemed like the enterprises that didn't immediately collapse into neutrons were the rare cosmic exceptions. I mean, like, what are we doing here? Is it possible that the idea of playing video games as sexy cartoon characters for a living was ill-conceived?
No, it's the children who are wrong.
At this point, those once coveted corpo positions seem like dodged bullets, honestly. I think the biggest whiplash revelation, at least for me, was that all told, if you were an indie 2V with even a part-time job anytime in the past 6 years, you were probably financially better off than almost any of your peers, including the corporate realm. Not only were those jobs not a guarantee of steady income, you might end up in debt or making well below minimum wage for however long you were working there. Geez, at least being a VTuber's got me treated a dim sum at least once. Forget 401k matching, you'd still be getting off light if they didn't fuck up your taxes. And that's just the business side of things. So many talents seem to come away with war stories, traumatic experiences, or a turgid fiend folio of hideous betrayals. Or at the very least, you might get triple T'd. I mean, fuck, this was supposed to be fun little characters playing games and singing songs. How did it all go so wrong? I think the aggregate result of all this is we've had to sort of give up on the notion of there being a VTuber industry per se. Sure, there are successful channels, but the roadmap to achieving that is even less cogent than in most similar industries, and even those are based on statistical outliers to begin with. It seems as though the VTuber wave has finally broken. And if you look east with the right kind of eyes, you can still see the high water mark where it rolled back. But man, this wasn't meant to be a video about all this dire shit. It was originally going to be a simple retrospective of my own little streaming endeavor, but it became kind of difficult to talk about how my relationship with content has evolved without referencing how our relationship with the medium has evolved. Happily, many formerly agency-affiliated talents have moved on to successful careers as indies, especially as we've more or less given up on the taboo about openly acknowledging past lives. In a past life, I, for instance, was a butterfly. In a subsequent life, I expect to be reduced to a horde of fluttering moths pouring out of the Vanta Black void that once was my mouth. But shit, as many setbacks as there have been, we're still here. In a futuristic technopunk wonderland where we marshal productivity beyond the scale of entire TV stations in yesteryear to make, you know, world-class art.
Thank you very much.
Hell, I'm eagerly looking forward to streaming the sequel to One Iced Latte with Your Breast Milk, Please. This is real. Real game. And something about all this stuff is still compelling. I never used to go to concerts. Now I'm going all the way to New York City for All for One and shit. Even my neat ass managed to make friends and semi-professional contacts scattered across the continent. Before, I would just be incontinent. Despite all, I think VTubing is still an enriching outlet and provides many worthy avenues of exploration. Even if the roadmap we thought we were following turned out to be wired to self-immolate like in fucking Inspector Gadget. So trust me, stepping back from the social media palantir has done more to help my motivation and connection to this interest than anything else. You know what? Just keep in mind, everything will be fine as long as we have Fubuki. Hey, speaking of Hololive, I'm still reeling over the fact that they did 7th Fest this year. The numbers get more surreal the bigger they get. But if you want a real dose of Memento Mori, consider also, starting next year, we'll start seeing the first Holomem doing 10th anniversary events. I mean, maybe the most notable aspect of Hololive is their longevity. I mean, Hololive VN is pretty much the last man standing after a gradual yet seemingly inexorable process of collapses and scandals that left all of their competitors moribund, if not outright defunct. That said, man, it's a shame what happened to the boys. They surely do have their fans, but man, it just seems like Cover never did figure out how to market them. Stuck between going hardcore BFE parasocial mode and ditching the idle pretense entirely to become more organically shareable funny lads, which funnily enough is pretty much de facto what the last few months of Star's content has been. And they've had more organic share time in the realms of social media than I've ever seen before. Truly stuck between a rock and a hard penis. I mean, place. But there is hope. Hollow Yen is still budgeting concerts, at least. Hopefully they have more opportunities to showcase their skills unrestrained by the idol typecasting that they've never quite leaned into. Would it even be possible to lean into that without going full Vox Akuma?
That's my good puppy. I've got what you deserve. Right here.
Inconclusive. One hopes they manage to pull off a miracle recovery. Granted, it's a bit frustrating to know that for the price of probably several successful branches, Cover managed to squander not only the boys, but an entire Hollow Earth. But all this stuff aside, Hollow is still consistently putting out creative, passion-driven content after all these years. I mean, Jufute Raden's literally as cultured as it gets. And the Hollow Stars weren't suffering for a lack of talent, that's for sure. As it turns out, one of our needs in this life is the simple joy of silly anime creatures outfoxing their friends in Mechha Chameleon. Hey, if nothing else, we also live to see Puppet Korone, and I, for one, am thankful. I love my indies, but boy, it's nice to know there's a place that is relatively insulated from crazy horse shit. Speaking of, like, just the world of non-stop online feuding is yet another reason to reconsider the wisdom of trying to become a bigger part of the scene. I mean, after everything, even in the unlikely chance that you do pop off, one of your rewards will be dedicated antis. While I've had lots to reconsider, especially in terms of my goals, I have no intention of graduating, primarily because that's an idol thing and I'm not an idol, but also because while there's been plenty to be discouraged by, in the end, I'm still encouraged by seeing people being able to have fun with their work. We'll call it the Korone effect. When I see Kei-san getting to make a cameo in Yakuza, or instrumentalists collaborating on a music project, and ex-agency people dusting themselves off and putting on shows with their friends, you know, when I see all that, I see people who are still able to have fun with their time. It's certainly nice to be able to experiment without the pressure of meeting financial obligations or having a million strange people waiting in the rafters to get physically angry at you when you say eminently defensible things online. Oh, and deadlines. This video was planned for January. In fairness, I slowed down because I got Jorb. So, 5 years, Okuzoku. I guess the final conclusion here is it's a bit existential proceeding without a goal, but that's because the process itself has to be the goal. Together, I'm sure we'll have lots more to discuss regarding Rouge the Bat's bathycolpian proportions. For Rouge the Bat, meanwhile, she was based off the sexiness of Latina women, particularly Jennifer Lopez, who is also famous in Japan. That's even the reason they gave her distinctively tanned skin. So, somehow, the meme was tapping into something we all understood to be true on a collective unconscious level. Merry Christmas.